As we discussed earlier, President Trump signed a memorandum of understanding with Iran this week to wind down 4 months of war. Critics, including politicians and media figures who typically support the president, are alarmed by the deal, saying it concedes too much to a radical Iranian regime. So how does it stack up with the Obama administration's 2015 deal with Iran, which Trump attacked on the campaign trail and then repealed as president? Keir Simmons is back with our Sunday Focus.
President Trump's Iran agreement and President Obama's nuclear deal are similar and completely different. Trump's memorandum of understanding says, quote, the Islamic Republic of Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons. President Obama's diplomatic deal says, quote, Iran reaffirms that under no circumstances will Iran ever seek, develop or acquire any nuclear weapons.
I wanted it in there, so it's develop, procure, buy, anything.
Trump walked away from Obama's agreement called the JCPOA, calling it a terrible deal, in part because it gave Iran money without addressing issues like its missile capability. But his deal could also give Iran billions of dollars and so far doesn't even mention missiles. And the Iran war demonstrated just what that Iranian missile stockpile could do.
And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles are, they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
The fact that President Trump's ambitions go beyond nuclear will inevitably render an agreement harder to reach. President Obama telling Craig this week,
I am very happy to see a ceasefire, and I'm hopeful that it holds.
But questioning whether President Trump has improved on his nuclear deal.
We've now fought a war, spent billions and billions of dollars, put an enormous strain on our military. A lot of people have died. And it feels like we're back where we were before we started the war, except maybe a little bit worse off.
Already the talks have been intense. A draft of the agreement that a regional diplomat said was from May only said that the fate of enriched material would be addressed in a final agreement. But by this week, that had been toughened to say Iran agreed to a minimum methodology of subjecting the uranium to downgrading on site. But President Trump himself admits the 60% enriched uranium is hard to reach because it was buried by airstrikes.
Those mountains collapsed right on top of everything. Nobody's going to get that for a long time unless we want to get it. We'll get it. But we're the only ones that can.
Europe has been largely left out of Trump's negotiations. Israel too. But Gulf countries, which criticized Obama's deal, are included, likely funding a proposed $300 billion Iran reconstruction fund, said Vice President J.D. Vance, who defended the agreement.
The only way that they would ever get any benefit of the bargain is if they comply fully and change their behavior.
But even members of his own party are unhappy.
History demonstrates that giving billions of dollars to theocratic lunatics who want to murder us is an exceptionally bad idea. And I think, unfortunately, the president is receiving some really bad advice on this deal.
Facing scathing criticism is another aspect the two agreements share.
And Keir joins me again live from Switzerland. Keir, there always is appropriate skepticism around any deal with the Iranian regime. So how will this agreement be enforced?
Well, Willie, that's a very good question. But of course, first, the negotiations. And it's worth noting that the JCPOA, President Obama's negotiations, took 2 years, mostly here in Switzerland. So President Trump's ambition of reaching a final deal within 60 days, that does look optimistic. Now, that deadline can be extended, but if these talks descend into difficult and detailed conversations about every aspect of this, which is, of course, a real possibility, and these talks here too are in Switzerland, well, then that is something that both the Obama deal and the Trump deal will have in common. Willie?
Keir Simmons in Switzerland, where the vice president is this morning. Keir, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.